to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for attending today's third 2025 Winter Streak workshop. We're excited to have you all here. My name is Jen Gasly, and I am here with Becca Hamner, and we are the Community Health Coordinators for WellSpan Health and lead the Winter Streak Wellness Program together. I just have a couple housekeeping items to go over before we begin. Please, if you haven't already, be sure to enter your first and last name into the chat so we can track attendance and entries towards your giveaways. The workshop is being recorded and will be available on the winterstreak.org website before the end of the week, so by Friday afternoon. We will also email that out to you as well. We will be answering any questions after the presentations, but you're welcome to go ahead and enter them into the chat as you think of them as the presentation's happening. As I mentioned, we'll be sending out a follow-up email with the recording link. There will also be a survey link included as well, so please take a moment to complete the survey and provide us with feedback, and that will give you an additional entry towards the giveaway. And I also just want to mention, for the best way to view this cooking demo is to make sure you have the speaker view selected on Zoom. On my Zoom, and I don't know if they're all different, but if you go to the top and it says view and you click on that, it gives an option to select speaker view, and that way it'll blow up your screen a little bit and you can see the demo a little bit better. All right, well, thanks again for being here, and I will now pass this on to Becca to introduce our presenters. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. So today I'm honored to introduce Amy Watson and Diaz Woodard, who will be leading our chicken taco lettuce wrap cooking demo. So looking at Amy has been working for WellSpan for the past 13 years, starting out originally in corporate wellness and is now an outpatient cardiac rehab dietitian and national board certified health and wellness coach. Amy enjoys connecting with patients about their nutrition plan and likes to explore other dimensions of wellness that are important to them. Additionally, she likes teaching nutrition and wellness classes, as well as doing cooking demos like today's workshop. Outside of work, Amy loves spending time with her adult daughter and 2 cats, and her biggest hobby is riding scooters. In fact, in the past 7 years, she has ridden over 30,000 miles across beautiful back roads through 7 different states. Diaz Woodard has been working for WellSpan as a community outreach coordinator for the past year. Previously, he worked as a recreation program specialist for the city of York. He is an advocate for all things York City and specializes in creating lasting community relationships. He's also a father of 3, 2 of which who recently graduated from college, and 1 who's currently a senior in high school. Diaz enjoys all things outdoors, working out, and spending time with his friends and family. And now I'll hand it over to Amy and Diaz.
Hello there, welcome for joining us this afternoon. I'm Amy and
I'm Diaz.
all right. So as you know, we're going to make the chicken taco lettuce wrap. And so I credit Diaz for picking this recipe. So Diaz, tell everyone why you chose this recipe.
I thought it's very health conscious. I thought it was simple. It's something quick and easy to kind of throw together for your family if you have a busy day. And I just thought it would be something good to just try. So,
Right. Yep. And I really think it's going to be good for picky eaters too.
most certainly.
Yeah. And now, as Diaz mentioned, it's healthy. And me being a cardiac dietitian, I made sure that this was a heart healthy version. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. So what do you say? Let us get started.
Let's go.
I like to be punny. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the lime crema. So that's going to take place of your sour cream. So the first thing, Diaz, he's going to start to zest the lemon. I'm sorry, not lemon, lime. So the lime, go for it. So start zesting. We only need enough zest from half of the lime. And usually that's about 1 teaspoon. So if a recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of zest, then you're going to have to zest the whole thing.
Yeah.
You've got some good skills going on.
As you can see, I'm a professional zester. I've been doing this for quite some time.
And I can smell it. It's so fresh. I love lime or lemons. Technically, you could use a lemon in this recipe as well, but the lime, oh my gosh, I just smell that freshness. I can't wait.
I'll be honest, I've actually never seen a zester before today. I didn't really know what it was, so this is something new.
And you're doing so well. It's very easy to do, great tool.
It is.
Yep.
It's something I want to invest in.
That's right. Doesn't take up much room in your drawer, so that's always good. A lime is easiest to work with when it's at room temperature, especially when we're gonna juice it. And so some people, if it's right out of the refrigerator, you could throw it into the microwave, but don't keep it in too long because you don't want to destroy any nutrients like the vitamin C.
Damn, that's about it.
That's about half. That looks good. All right, so I'll take that. I'm gonna steal that away from you. All right, that's right. Perfect. Okay. And so now, so Diaz, he's gonna cut this lengthwise because believe it or not, you get a better hand grip when you go to juice it. I didn't realize that until recently. I was always doing it the other way. So now we're just gonna juice a half of a lime. We'll save the other for later. All right. And so as he's juicing, I'm going to start with the garlic. The reason why we're doing this crema first is because you want to allow some time for that garlic to really marinate with the Greek yogurt that we're going to put it in. So I have 2 cloves of garlic. Some of it will go into the lime crema, and then Diaz is going to also saute the remaining of it in the pan in just a minute. So I have to peel my garlic, and the best trick with that is just to smash it down with a knife. Now be careful you don't cut yourself. I'm just going to put the knife over and give it a good whack. And so you can see how the peel just comes off very easily. I love that trick. Freaking, that's
a little bit of juice,
perfect.
wouldn't it?
Perfect, perfect. All right, so I'm going to cut off the little ends here. Okay, so I'm going to give it a whack and peel. And even if you buy already peeled garlic, you still want to give it that little whack with your knife because it actually releases oils that's going to make the dish more flavorful. So I'm just going to hit it up one more time, and it makes it a little bit easier to dice or mince. And it helps to have a sharp knife as well. We're just going to make this into small little pieces. And I love the smell of garlic. It's very heart healthy. Now, if you don't have fresh garlic cloves, you could always use garlic powder. So 1 garlic clove is equal to about 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. Now, I recommend the powder over the salt because, again, we're trying to keep this heart healthy, and we get way too much sodium or salt in our diet. So it's better to use the powders wherever you can. You want to cut the sodium. All right, so I'm just going to do this a little bit longer. What do you think? Just want to make it a little bit smaller, I think.
A little bit.
Like that? All right.
A little bit of garlic goes a long way.
It does. Right. Okay. So now I'm going to split some of this. Diaz, I'm going to give you some. If you want to get your pan over there, I'm just going to put about half of it in. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to save the rest for my crema. Now, if you want to start the stove top, now we have to turn on a fan, so it's going to get a little bit loud. If you can't hear our voices anymore, just put it in the chat, and we'll do our best to speak a lot louder. All right.
All right, engine's roaring.
Engine's roaring. So you know what? If you want to start putting in 2 teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil, going to heat that up a little bit. And you know what? I'm going to just start with the red onion here. You want to be careful that that oil does not smoke. Be really careful that oil does not smoke, because if it smokes, that means it's been oxidized, and that's not a healthy thing. So keep a watch over it. If it looks like it's getting too hot and you're not ready to use it yet, then take it off the stove top.
So, Amy, I always had a question, when cooking, what are some of the health benefits of extra virgin olive oil over just your general oil that you buy at the store?
That's right. That's a great question. So olive oil is an anti-inflammatory. So it's really good for your heart health. So whenever you can, olive oil is one of the best oils you can use when you're cooking. Avocado oil is becoming popular as well. So you can use either of those. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about some other oils that were in the media lately, and they're called the Hateful Eight.
Oh, wow, never heard of that before.
Yes, and so it's examples like cottonseed, canola, corn, safflower, rapeseed oil. I missed one or two, but don't be deceived by what the media is saying. That's kind of been blown out of proportion. There's not a whole lot of science supporting that they're bad oils. How are we doing on the, well, I think we're ready.
Yeah, I think we're about ready.
All right, so we're gonna put some, if you wanna bring the pan over, we're just gonna put
Careful.
this red onion right in here. Just do a little bit more. It's about a third of a cup. I think that's all we're gonna need. So now Diaz is gonna just saute that a little bit together. We're gonna soften it. We're gonna caramelize the red onions so they're gonna become a little bit sweeter. So if you don't want to cook your red onions, another variation is that you can just make sure make sure it's a clean onion. Make sure you take off all the peels, because sometimes you might see a little dirt or debris left. Make sure it's clean and then just cut it up, and you can just dice it and throw it as an add-on at the end. But be careful, because red onion is very potent, so a little goes a long way. But because we're heating it up, it's going to release that sugar. And so it's going to become a lot sweeter. I
So
like that flavor better.
So do red onions and like yellow or white onions, do they have a different nutritional value?
They're pretty similar. They're all anti-inflammatory, very low in calories. It's really what you prefer in a recipe. I generally like to use yellow onions, like this, or Vidalia. They're very sweet, but also with the red onions, they cook out well too. But I also like to use red onions in salads. I think they work well in salads too.
Starting to smell good over here.
It smells amazing. And onions add so much flavor to a recipe, and they're super low in calories. There's probably less than 50 calories per cup of onions. Fun fact, I loved onions so much growing up. I would eat them like an apple. If it was a sweet onion, I would truly just eat it like an apple. Because we weren't allowed to have onions in our household because my dad hated onions. So I would go to my grandparents' house.
Another fun fact, I didn't eat onions until I was 30.
Wow, 30.
Yeah, I was one of those picky eaters, and like onions was just something that I really didn't care for too much. So as my palate expanded as I got older, then I started eating onions. Now I eat onions and anything, but yeah, I was about 30 years old before I actually started trying onions and things.
That's funny. So I'm gonna just finish up this lime crema. I'm just adding in the garlic, and I'm adding in the wonderful lime zest, and then the juice.
Thinking these onions are getting done.
All right, so they're looking nice. They're getting a little brown. Looks like they're getting soft and tender as well. So now it's time to put in our protein. So today we're choosing ground chicken because, again, it's very heart healthy, very lean, and Diaz loves to cook with ground chicken. So tell us more about that.
Well, I mean, I when I was younger, I used to use a lot of like beef, and as I got older, I started leaning more towards ground chicken. And I noticed that when you're cooking with ground chicken, it's not as greasy as beef, so you don't really have to strain it as much, particularly if you're making like spaghetti or things like that. So I think it's just a lot easier to work with. It's lean, it's a lot healthier, and it turns out well.
And that's great. And so we're using a non-stick pan today. So that helps because it's so lean. You don't want to risk it sticking to the pan or burning. So just be careful about that. Non-stick works well, although we did put a little bit of that oil in. You can also use a non-stick cooking spray too, if that helps.
Now, is there any particular type of cooking spray you should use if you opt to use cooking spray over virgin olive oil?
I still like to get the olive oil spray. I really like that flavor. So that's kind of my favorite spray to use. All right. So now the other thing we're going to add here in a minute to the meat is some seasoning. Now I'm using some Dash seasoning today, taco seasoning. It used to be called Mrs. Dash, but they've rebranded recently. So now it's just called Dash. It's the same product. Everything's salt-free. So I'm going to measure out a tablespoon. And here's a huge savings with sodium. By using this 1 tablespoon of DAS, we're saving 1,500 milligrams of sodium. So if you picture those packets, those little packets you usually get when you're making tacos, that whole packet has 1,500 milligrams. So this is a nice savings, and you're not going to miss the salt. It's very flavorful. Now, I actually had to buy this taco seasoning online. I found it on Amazon, but you can shop your local stores. They also carry Dash, but they're not going to carry all the different varieties. So you might have to shop around or look online if there's something in particular that you would like. You can also do your own seasoning, really. You can Google anything these days. So you can look up a DIY recipe that's salt-free for taco seasoning, and you'll find some good recipes there as well. So that's looking really good over there. I'm gonna just finish cutting a few more things. I'm using some tomatoes here, great for vitamin C, also high in potassium. And potassium is great for heart health and good for blood pressure control.
There's someone out there that doesn't like tomatoes, maybe they could use as another option, just to kind of still give it that zest, but just you don't really like tomato.
You don't need tomatoes. There's certain other vegetables you could use. Honestly, we're using a red pepper here as well, and it has a similar profile with the vitamin C, so you could certainly change to that. Or if you don't, believe it or not, I do have even patients who don't really like raw tomatoes. So you could just take it out of the recipe altogether if you really don't care for it. All right, so those are all ready to go. Now I'm gonna slice up. You can use any kind of pepper. I chose red because it's sweet. It's the most ripe, and I just love the taste. So I chose red. You can do orange. Believe it or not, one orange pepper actually has more vitamin C in it than an actual orange.
Oh, wow.
I was surprised by that because we know oranges are very high in vitamin C.
But is it just coincidental that they're the same color, or is there like something that?
No, color has a lot to do with it. Yep. Just like a lot of orange fruits and vegetables have vitamin A. Definitely there's a relationship to that.
So what about with the different color peppers? Is there a significant vitamin difference between like a red pepper, a green pepper, yellow, orange? Would it change?
Different. All of the peppers have vitamin C. The yellow ones, I like to cook with the yellow ones as well. They're actually good for eye health. They have a compound in them that are great for eye health. So that's a good thing. There's some vitamin K in your green peppers, so that's good for your bones. Now, one thing I've changed over the years is when I prepare peppers, I usually remove the seeds. And lately, I haven't been removing the seeds at all because the seeds are going to give you a lot more fiber.
I always wondered that they're like more nutritional value when you keep the seeds in a vegetable opposed to like taking them out.
Right. It's more about the fiber. So it doesn't add any extra calories. It's good for fiber, which is great for our heart health and our digestive health.
All right, Amy, this chicken over here is
All right.
getting there.
So go ahead and turn that off. And then hopefully you'll hear us better. We'll turn the fan off as well. All right. Wonderful. So the last thing I'm going to prep is the avocado. Avocados are great. It's a heart healthy fat. So even though it's very high in fat, it's high in those unsaturated fats, which are really good for our heart health. And you can do whatever you want. You can slice it, you can cube it, you could mash it. It's totally your preference. I'm going to just do some little cubes today. Getting them mixed up with my leftover red pepper, but that's okay because it's all going to get mixed here soon anyway.
think I've mastered the art of cooking ground chicken, you know,
All right, looks great.
by the way.
You are a pro, the master ground chicken cooker. I usually like to prep the avocado at the last minute just because it can oxidize, which means it's going to turn brown. And you don't want to eat the brown stuff because the brown stuff is not healthy for us. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, if you're not careful with that oil and you turn it away and you do something else in the kitchen, if it starts smoking, get rid of it. Turn off the heat, wipe the pan out, rinse it, start all over because that's unhealthy at that point.
So what is the big deal with avocado? I know like in recent years, a lot of people have started to like really say it has a lot of nutritional benefits, but I mean, what exactly is avocado good for?
It does, and my hands are slipping, can you help?
Oh, sorry.
Because I have there you go, see, he's a pro at everything, thank you. So avocados have, like the biggest thing they're known for really is the heart healthy fats, but they're also very high in fiber.
Oh, wow.
And there's some protein in there as well. It's a very filling meal. And if you've heard of avocado toast, that's a very popular dish right now too. That's a great go-to, whether it's a quick and easy meal or a snack. Making avocado toast is really what the doctor ordered, or in this case, the dietitian. It's what the dietitian orders.
So are there actually any I mean, some people don't like maybe like the texture of avocado. Are there anything that you can use as a substitute for it?
There really isn't with avocado, and you're right, some people just don't like that texture. So unfortunately, if you don't, there's not really a good substitute for that. I was kind of scared off for a while. You know, years ago when you heard about guacamole, I'm like, what is this green stuff? You know, I was really nervous about trying it, but I'm glad I did because I really like it.
Yeah, I do too. And I've actually bypassed it for years, but like, yeah, I do really enjoy avocado now.
All right, so I think we are ready to assemble everything.
All right, okay, let's clear some of the stuff out of the way.
Just grab, put the pan on
Let's
these.
to the side.
Right. So today we're using romaine lettuce leaves. You can certainly switch it up. You could use leaf lettuce, you could use bib lettuce.
Spinach, if you want to use it for a salad.
Yeah, you could turn it into a salad. You could also turn these into wraps if you want. Now, there's differences. You could use the corn tortilla or the flour tortilla. The corn is actually higher in fat and lower in calories. The flour is going to be higher in fat and more calories, but it's still okay. It's all about moderation. So you definitely have some different ways that you can serve this up.
Perfect.
Yep. All right,
Let's get started.
Let's get started. All right, so we're gonna just assemble. Yep, start. We're gonna do the meat.
Move this one up a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Now today, just to save some time, we're only going to do 4 lettuce leaves, but the recipe actually makes 8. So it's a nice serving. You see how quick and easy this is. The one thing I haven't talked about yet is we're going to add a little bit of cheese. Now this is reduced fat, so it's made with 2% milk. Because cheese can be good for us with the protein, calcium, vitamin D, but it's also very high in saturated fat, which is not good for our heart health.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful.
Yeah, and I'm guilty. I'm a cheeser. I put cheese on pretty much everything. So
I do like cheese.
Pull back.
So if you want to start sprinkling some red pepper, so you can certainly either do the reduced fat. I don't really recommend the fat-free. Most people just don't like the taste of the fat-free, and it's kind of getting hard to find. But you can get other cheese that's made with part skim milk. That's going to be lower in fat. We have mozzarella, provolone, Swiss. If you really want to switch it up, we have a lot of people who love Swiss. It's low in sodium and a little bit lower in fat, so that could be an option as well.
So it's not like cheese in general that's just maybe not as good for you, but it's like different types of cheese.
Just be careful. They actually say the #1 source of saturated fat in the American diet is coming from cheese. Because we're a cheese snacking nation. We do charcuterie, mac and cheese,
Yes.
cheese on sandwiches. You know, what else? I mean, it's
Cheese
just
on everything.
tacos, pizza. So we really do, it's about moderation. We really do need to be careful. All right, what do you want next?
I think we should go with the avocado.
Okay, so little avocados coming next. All right.
It's really colorful already.
It is, I like it. And you can really switch it up. You know, like I mentioned, you can use different green peppers, different peppers, green, yellow, orange. We use the red today. Diaz and I had talked about, do we add corn? Now, if you add corn, use fresh or frozen instead of the canned because the canned is going to be higher in sodium. If you want to go vegetarian, you could do black beans or ground up some tofu and use that as your lean protein source instead of the meat. But ground turkey, ground chicken, that's going to really save you some fat. Tomatoes. Watch out for ground beef. Even the leanest form we have concerns about because of the saturated fat content. It adds up so quickly in our diet. And we also believe that even with the low-fat ground beef, we believe that when we try to digest it, it creates a chemical that might be harmful to our heart health.
Wow.
So more to come. They're still doing more studies. So it's everything in moderation. But that's why we kind of wanted to switch it up today and do the ground chicken and ground.
Ground chicken is definitely a better option than ground beef.
It is. Just make sure it really is 90% or higher lean. I think this is about 98% lean today. So very little fat. Sometimes, it doesn't happen often, but sometimes with ground turkey and chicken, they'll actually grind up the dark meat and or the skin. So that can really bump up the fat content. So be careful, but you don't see that so much anymore just because we are on that lower fat trend with our meats. All right, so here's our crema, or crema, I should say. So just you can do little dollops. It is pretty thick. So I'm just going to do a little dollop here. So there's a trivia. I have to get this in before we close. Guess how much the most expensive taco in the world costs? This is unbelievable. $25,000 because they actually put gold flakes into the tortilla and they recommend serving that up with tequila. And a bottle of tequila is only $150,000. Imagine
I don't know about the $150,000 bottle of tequila, but
that is crazy. All right. So are you ready? You have a plate, and then let's do a taste test. Make sure we did this right. It looks good.
it looks amazing. Let's just see.
And I'll just lift this up here, just so you can kind of get a good look. There we go.
That should be folded.
You can. These leaves are pretty big, so you could certainly fold it if you want.
All right.
All right, drum roll. Thumbs up. All right, so I guess we did it right. Woohoo!
Chef Gus.
I think it was the way you zested the lime.
Yeah, you know, a little.
I think that's what
It was the way I was spinning that chicken.
So does anybody have any questions before we leave today?
No. Thank you both. That was awesome. I think we all agree on the chat and here at home that we are all hungry right now. There was a way to sample these tacos. We do have a few questions. I'm just going to scan through the chat here and start from the beginning. So our first question is, sorry.
I have one, Jen, if you want to.
Okay, you go ahead.
So just for going over some cooking process, was the chicken cooked over medium heat?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes,
We
it
practiced that.
was.
Yes, medium heat. Yep.
And then can you add the tomatoes and peppers into your chicken while cooking rather than adding them separate at the end?
I would say yes, especially if someone that doesn't really like a lot of cold vegetables, definitely.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh,
Go ahead. I was just going to say, there was one that asked a question. Oh, I like this question. Do the gold flakes in the expensive taco have health benefits?
I really had to Google that to see if that's for real. And there's a place in Mexico and it's actually edible. So I don't understand that. I don't understand how, you think something's so expensive, you would think it's true gold. And they put it right into the tortilla. And I saw a picture where some of the flakes were on the top and they say it's edible. I don't understand that.
Well, if it has health benefits for your body, I'm sure it doesn't for your bank account.
Good
So I
point.
really don't know. I really don't know about the benefits. I'm like, that's just crazy, that something could cost that much and then to pair it with $150,000 of tequila.
I'll stick to my ground chicken.
Ooh,
How about for meat health? I know you guys often encourage chicken over beef. What about deer meat? Is that healthier than beef?
So unfortunately, back in the 80s and 90s, we actually said that venison was a better choice because it was usually leaner than red meat. But more and more studies are showing that any type of red meat could be harmful to our health in large quantities. So even considering, like I mentioned, the low-fat beef earlier, you still need to be careful. I would limit to about 6 ounces per week. And crazier yet, pork. Believe it or not, pork is not a white meat, and that was marketed that way
Oh, wow.
years ago. It was called the other white meat. It's actually a red meat. So be careful with that too. Get the leanest cuts, but really try to limit to a few ounces per week. So with the venison, you definitely want to make sure it's the leaner cut and not when you turn it into like the bologna and sausage, because then you're going to be getting into a higher saturated fat content and salt content. Yeah, great question.
another question on here regarding meat. Someone would like to know, is ground turkey considered a healthy option?
Yes, so ground turkey or ground chicken, just make sure that it's over 90% lean. If it's not, then chances are they could have grounded up the dark meat and or the skin, which is going to really throw off the fat content. Yep.
So how does someone figure that out? Like they're not sure of how to like read their meat package and figure out, what the fat content is. Like where is that on the package?
So usually right on the top of the package, it'll say 93% or 90%. You'll see that percentage right on the top of the package. Yeah, so if you're over 90%, you're pretty good.
I see a lot of questions asking if there's a recipe for this. Yes, there is, and we will be sure to send it out when we send out the recording and everything, so everyone can look forward to adding that to their meal plan in the future, and then emailing us back with pictures or how awesome it was, and we can be sure to forward that on to Amy and Diaz as well.
All right, well, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap us up. Thank you, Amy and Diaz, so much. That was awesome. You guys are a great duo.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This was fun.
And a special shout out, you don't see her, but she's behind the scenes, to Sandy Gladfelter for videoing for us. She's made it all possible so this could happen today. I just wanted to also give a plug. If you go to winnerstreak.org, I'm having a little trouble myself with the website, but if you go to winnerstreak.org, there are more of our upcoming workshops and other resources listed at that website. The next workshop will be on February the 19th. It's an uplifting midway check-in workshop about finding meaning can change your day. So we hope you all will join us for one of those workshops. And with that, I hope everybody has a wonderful day.